do we have some activity today? I'm telling you, this week has been one of the most phenomenal weeks. And we have to take a look at exactly how America is handling its moment on the world stage. Of course, we covered last week the historic ascent up the hill of the Lord as Biden went up and mounted onto Air Force One and slipping and sliding as he went. And the whole world now is looking at this American administration. First, you have to understand this. The world is looking at America as though it should have had Donald Trump as president because he was so tough on them. Russia's thinking that, Iran's thinking that, China's thinking that, North Korea's thinking that. And then they look at this goofy state that we're in. They're assessing the mental acuity, the sharpness, the shrewdness, the agenda of their adversary personified in the office of the president. And they realize it's an empty suit, largely programmed now. The press conference revealed that everything Biden does is orchestrated by a behind-the-scenes group of elites that are using him and pulling the strings because he can hardly navigate his way around a color-by-the-numbers chart with 6 or 7 or 8 reporters he's supposed to talk to. My trusty associate and researcher and double fact-checker, Mercedes Sparks, is here as well to make sure that everything I say is actually accurate. And yes. So, which only 1% of the time in my whole history have I ever got carried away in hyperbole and confused it with a fact. But I want to take a look at what Joe Biden's press conference looked like because it was late. And the reason it was late is because they wanted to delay this. It's like the first debate or second debate. They were so anxious about his performance that they didn't want to put him out prematurely. But they couldn't hold him back any longer. The most amount of time anyone's ever waited for a president to have to address the country. And now we know why we had to wait. And these other countries, I'm telling you, watch very closely, and they see a weak America. Let's take a look at some of those profound moments of cognitive clarity in the president.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot done. Okay, hang on. Sorry. Oh, saying Ms. Kim. We'll commit to transparency, and as soon as I am in a position to be able to implement what we're doing right now.
To be clear, how soon will that be, Mr. President?
I don't know, to be clear. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. Caitlin? My predecessor. Oh, God, I miss him.
Man, don't we all? Don't we all miss a predecessor? Hey, Lance, I got to tell you, like that one line where it's like, to be clear, I don't know. It's like a Michael Scott line from The Office. Like, I feel like I'm at Michael Scott's, in Scranton there. Also, I want to tell everybody, because I know there's a lot of you that just tuned in over from War Room. I'm over here in the comments, so tell me what you think about the show and what Lance is talking about. So, just wanted to remind everybody.
Yes, exactly right. Action, action, action. And it's true. The group that we have, the people that we have in the Real America's Voice audience are the sharpest, most educated group in the country. I mean, the reason why I wanted to be around this show is because I was watching War Room and I was getting my media, clarity from hearing them challenging what was going on. But I want to zero in on the lying that happens because you see, Biden not only could not navigate through a press conference when he was given charts to tell you the name of the who he's calling on and the order of who he's he was given the summary of every subject like a cheat sheet, and what you'll see constantly is he's fumbling around looking for the papers. He's looking for the papers. He's looking because he doesn't know what he's going to say till he says it, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to say, so someone writes it, and if someone doesn't write it, then he's caught off guard, not knowing what his position is. And this is the reason why other countries are watching this with such fast. No, look at that picture right there. You see that? Look, if you see it, if you go back the other one, that's the chart of of who's in the room. The name of each of the journalists. But what's really funny is it's like they've got arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4. And the arrows, and with numbers next to them. And that's where he's stumbling. Let me see here. That's the part where he's having to put the thing together and is confused. It would be funny if it wasn't so serious. All right, so the fact-checking has to come out on what he said, because these people, I'm telling you, the deception, the art of duplicity is practiced with such skill, almost genius in media and the White House these days. Let's fact-check the fact-checkers. So what do we got? Let's go to some of these facts. So I want to focus in right now on the argument that Biden has about the filibuster. So he is definitely wanting to overturn the checks and balances that are in the Senate. You understand the Senate is 50-50. It's balanced on a knife's edge. And the Senate is there so that radical propositions such as we're going to overhaul all voting in the United States. We're going to have infinite ballots and no one needs to give an ID. We're an open society. That kind of legislation will permanently destroy America. So the Senate was designed to be a deliberative, contemplative debate. Debating society with 6-year cycles in office so that they can have level heads and think long term. The filibuster is an artifact that came out of the need for that collaboration. Understand these words. Filibuster means that if 50% of the Senate feels like it's not a good policy for the country, there's a process for them to tap the brakes, and let's debate. And let's move this up to maybe 60 votes are needed to get this thing moving forward. Now, Biden lied. He made it sound, and this is what makes me so furious with Democrats. He makes it sound like the filibuster is some kind of a thing that Jim Crow, white supremacist Republicans use to rob minorities of their votes. That's how he's framing the argument, when in fact, the facts are that of the times that the filibuster was used, the majority of the times from 2019 to 2020, and he's talking about like 298 times. Actually, it was Democrats who were resisting Trump using this. So you see, when they're not in power, they use every toolkit in the book, and they make sure the Republicans play by the rules. When they're in power, the fact is, it was the Democrats who were using the filibuster to block legislation. The data was inflated to make it sound like it was Republicans. Second thing that he lied about. Now, Mercedes, you can clean up anything you want to throw in on this. 83% of the tax cuts of Donald Trump. So they're going to tax you. Now, Biden's going to, you watch this. They're going to have to, because they're printing money like a monopoly machine to send to all of the failed Democrat states. And they're funding their activist organizations with your taxpayer money. We had $800 billion with Obama. Do you remember the big debate, the meltdown, the argument over $800 billion bailout for the big banks and financial institutions in 2008? What happened? $800 billion? That's pocket change compared to like the, I think it's 4 or 5 trillion that has been released by the government since COVID started, and we're wondering about the validity of that decision to even shut down the economy. But Biden lied. 83% of Trump's tax cuts went to the top 1%. The fact of the matter is The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center estimates that 80% of taxpayers got the tax cut. It wasn't 83% going to the top 1%. It was 80% of taxpayers got the tax cut, with less than 5% getting a tax increase. When Biden talks about we're now reopening all the schools, so 50% of all the schools are back, and that's what we're doing. No, you're not. Donald Trump, by January, had gotten 50% of the schools down, of K through 8 schools open and full-time 5 days a week for in-person learning. And Biden's taking credit for what Trump did. And frankly, Biden hasn't moved the needle at all on opening up schools. Point after point after point. And when we get to the immigration lies, Mercedes, you can focus on that, because what they're saying on that is that Trump, the problem we have now is Donald Trump. The problem we have now in immigration is Donald Trump. Could you think of a dumber comment to make? Donald Trump ran and got elected on trying to stop the hemorrhage at the border. And now that we have a flood coming in with COVID, what do you have? It's not my problem. It's Donald Trump's problem. But I'll fix it as soon as I'm clear on what I'm doing. But I'm not clear yet.
Yep. We actually have a clip. We can play it real quick. It's 1:06. And then we'll come back next segment, and we're going to talk all about immigration and do the compare and contrast. So let's play that one clip when Biden gets hit with the immigration question.
Follow, sir. You mentioned circumstances that must be horrific. The Customs and Border Protection Facility in Donna, Texas, I was there, is at 1,556% capacity right now with mostly unaccompanied minors. There are kids that are sleeping on floors. They are packed into these pods. I've spoken to lawyers who say that some of these children have not seen the sun in days. What's your reaction? What is your reaction to these images that have come out from that particular facility? Is what's happening inside acceptable to you? And when is this going to be fixed?
That's a serious question, right? Is it acceptable to me? Come on. That's why we're going to be moving 1,000 of those kids out quickly. That's why I got Fort Bliss opened up. That's why I've been working from the moment this started to happen to try to find additional access for children to be able to safely, not just children, but particularly children, to be able to safely be housed while we follow through on the rest of what's happening. That is totally unacceptable.
Yeah, there's not enough hotels in the United States to handle the immigration crisis he's got on his hands. So when we come back, we're going to show you pictures of Donna, Texas. We're going to show you exactly what that reporter was talking about. And you are going to get the 411 on everything. Stick with us. See you in a couple minutes.
As a pandemic wreaks havoc and angry mobs burn our cities, LanceWallnau explains why this is happening and takes you into the ancient text he describes as God's Chaos Code. This is the exciting sequel to Lance's best-selling book, God's Chaos Candidate, where he predicted Donald Trump would be president. God's Chaos Code predicts this exact moment in history and what is coming next.
When you're in the midst of shaking and uncertainty, the one thing that can give you confidence is knowing what God has said about the time that you're in. If the Lord tells you ahead of time what's going to happen, you can be certain things are going to be working out. The Lord has given us that code in the Bible. He's told us what's coming in America, what's coming to the nations. He's literally given us the chaos code. We can understand what's happening and be awakened in the midst of it. You need to understand and get this chaos code.
You need to know the code. Order God's Chaos Code now at godschaoscode.com.